Alright, before I get into the video, I want to say a few things. Thank you viewer for taking the time to look at my video, it means a lot. Also make sure to subscribe if you are new here. My girlfriend's entitled mother is pissed at her for deleting a tracking app she let the M use. I'm posting this for her since her account doesn't meet the karma requirement. I am a truck driver and my mother has been envious of me ever since I started training. She's wanted to be a truck driver her whole life and my occupation has enabled her to live vicariously through me. I was never necessarily fond of this, but she's my mother so I let it go. When I finished training and started driving, I downloaded a family tracking app on my phone so my boyfriend, who would join me on the road a little later on, could see where I was and help direct me to nearby truck stops. The GPS in my truck doesn't let me change where I'm going while driving. I offered to share my location via the app with my mother, since she is so passionate about truck driving and it would give her a chance to experience it just a little bit. She took this as an opportunity to attempt to run my life for me. She would often get paranoid from watching videos of trucking accidents and constantly blew up my phone, which I'm not allowed to check while driving, warning me of various places and things to look out for. Other people might be grateful of this constant advice giving, but to me it was just annoying. She also went completely ballistic whenever the app was disabled due to low/dead battery and would blow up me and my boyfriend's phone in a panic, demanding to know where I am and if I'm safe. While I do appreciate the fact that she cares about me, having to deal with this for a month straight started to take its toll on me and my job. I got the chance to visit my sister who knows of my mother's bipolar actions and warned me to delete the app before she takes things too far. I took her advice and deleted the app, after letting my boyfriend know what was going on. I gave my mom a call and let her know that I no longer wanted to use the app and deleted it. This sent her into a rage and she started berating me and my sister, who she knew I visited with earlier. I ignored her tantrum and gave her the cold shoulder for a month to let her cool down. Her birthday came around the corner and I sent her a well-meaning message wishing her a happy birthday. She responds to said message complaining about how me and my sister were planning a special event for my father. They're divorced and he's way better to me and my sister, but not her. Keep in mind, my father and sister live in Texas and my mom is all the way in California, so it's difficult to arrange anything for her given how far she is. Here is a screenshot of the conversations between me and her to shed a little light on how batshit crazy she can be. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words and support. My girlfriend, also known as you/Noraclaire, will answer as many of your burning questions as she can whenever she is on break. This is how their convo went. M tried to yell at me because she crashed her nice car into my old car. This is before quarantine, so I'm 15 and I have a driver's permit and my friend, 18, has her driver's license so she was in the passenger seat, so basically I was just driving to a Jack in the Box or Tim Hortons whichever one was closer and we stopped at a red light and as it changed to green the first went and this lady rams into my side door, in the back, and thankfully none of us were harmed. Anyway we quickly got out of there as we grabbed out wallets, phones, the important stuff afterwards. Anyway I started to panic as I'm crying at this point and this is where M pops in. M, what the fuck did you just do to my perfect car? I couldn't speak as my friend stepped in. F you ran a red light dumbass. M, were you driving? F no but I saw everything. M, it was you driving, looking at me. I managed to nod as she said. M, You are too young to drive. She laughed slightly as she thought she was going to throw one minor and a new adult in jail and get money from it. Basically, M crossed her arms and waited for the police as we traded insurance cards. The police come and assess the situation as they question M first. M, those two are drunk driving and almost killed me and my baby boy. She had what seems to be a 8-year-old, which seemed fine as the police talked to him as people checked all of us for any damage. M, my baby boy is scared and this just ruined life for him. The police just nodded and went to us. I was still crying. This seems like I'm a baby, but I have autism, which makes me scared of confrontation and yelling and most definitely anything bad. And so basically the police questioned us as we explained the situation and showed him our driver's license and IDs. The police were extremely nice to me as I had a card explaining my autism and they just generally helped me calm down. Anyway, the police saw cameras for a store outside which caught everything as they checked the traffic cameras and the store cameras. M smirked like a demon as she thought she would get away with this, and the police came back saying they watched the footage as the color drained out of her face as she kept changing her story to get out of the situation, as she said, my boy needs to go to football practice. If he's late he will be kicked off the team and it's gonna be your fault, while yelling at the officer. And then 10 seconds later she said, my mom is in the hospital and I need to see her before she dies, and then my baby boy needs to go to the doctor for shots etc. So basically in the end she was in a police cruiser and I was taken to Tim Hortons. I'm a Uber with my friend and back to my home. I did press charges as there was so many witnesses, as in court she broke down saying I need to feed my kids while she had like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. I was able to fix my car and I never ran into her again. TLDR, lady runs a red light and then lied to the police and gets exposed by cameras and breaks down in court saying she needs to feed her kids as she hold Gucci and Louis Vuitton merchandise. Edit, spelling and formatting. Also, I got most of the stories is because I live in an entitled neighborhood where it is the buzz box for all entitled people. People have messaged me on my first and second post, on this subreddit, saying I made the stories up. You can think that, but just to let you know, I do live in an expensive neighborhood where people think that they are better than others. Another edit, I got my learner's permit, not my driver's license. Driver's permit is where you have to have someone with their driver's license in the car with you as you drive. M attacks me, cop, so I can draw my gun on her. That will be a long ride. I'm on mobile and English is not my first language. G me. M, guess who? K, kid, not crazy or entitled, just normal curious kid. I think he was 11 yo. AD, awesome driver. In my country you can only get a carry permit for weapons when you're 25, but we have exceptions. If you work for the union as any kind of cop or work for the military you can have your permit at any age. When I was 18 I got a job as a union federal penitentiary cop, so I have my legal carry permit being only 19 yo. The penitentiary/jail/prison I work is in other state, so every weekend I have to take a 4HR bus ride to work. As courtesy, the company doesn't charge cops if you're in your uniform, so you can guarantee security for them, so I always get the bus in my uniform and with my gun visible. I usually stand in the end of the bus, it's already free, I'm not going to take someone else's seat. I'm from a special division, so my uniform is black, really tactical and kind of cool looking, so when I'm in the bus I always get a little bit of curious looks kind like the USA SWAT uniform. So there I was, standing and waiting to the bus to start when this Karen and her kid entered the bus, and here is how it happened. K, look mom. A cop, look at his cool weapon. M, that's right sweetie, wants to see his weapon? G, interrupting her, sorry ma'am, I can't draw my weapon in public if it isn't an emergency. M, come on, he just wants to hold it, it will be fast. G, sorry ma'am, no can do, but I can show him my badge. K, I want to see it. Then I showed my badge to the kid, he liked it and I thought everything was nice, until M went full Karen. M, see, that wasn't hard, you can do this with your weapon too, come on, it will be quick. G, ma'am, for the last time, I will not draw my weapon in public and no way I'm letting a kid hold it. Stop being so rude. You'll be a parent and you'll see how hard it is to not being able to give you children what they want. Gee, sorry ma'am, I'm fixed, so that's never going to happen. At this point the AD was coming to the back of the bus to see what the heck was happening, since the Karen was loud ASF. Then something I've never thought would happen happened. The crazy woman jumped and tried to get my gun from my holster. I've immediately pushed her back and was about to draw my gun when I realized that she attacked me on purpose so I would draw my gun on her. The AD saw everything and proceeded to apologize and kicked her out of the bus. I felt bad for the kid. He was so understanding and didn't got mad when I said I couldn't draw my gun. I swear that entitled parents are a different breed. At least I've got to sit where M was supposed to sit. Win-win situation for me. Entitled mom steals son's home for her entitled brat. So this is a story I have been told many times by my mom. This is going to be a long story. Sorry for any grammar mistakes, I'm just dumb. Backstory. My grandparents on my father's side are the greediest pigs I ever met. They wouldn't give a single dollar for my dad in college and he had to survive on his own. They picked favorites towards my father's brother, entitled uncle. Entitled uncle was given everything in life since my grandparents were hella rich. My father would bump heads with his brother but did care about him and his parents. But my father isn't that innocent in all regards, more on that later. When my dad got a decent job and home, my grandparents wanted to get him married. This was in India, so arranged marriages were most common. They eventually found my mom and her wealthy parents. For the wedding, my grandparents didn't contribute a thing and forced my mom's parents to pay for it. Entitled grandma abused my mom during it and was controlling on her life. My mom describes it like hell. She was even abused by my dad since my entitled grandparents told him to, and my dad, wanting to please his parents like he was raised, did so. There was an instance where my dad pushed my mom off the stairs while she was pregnant with me. I do wonder if that incident caused me to have an extra finger, since it looks like one was thinner than another, but whatever. My mom dealt with the abuse from my dad and his family for the longest time until 6 years ago. Now we are at the story. So shortly after I was born in India, my family moved to the US. My dad owned a flat back in India. He would allow two people to rent it out and get money like a landlord. But since he moved to the US, he couldn't get the money instantaneous anymore, so he asked my entitled grandfather to get the money and send him the money through his account. My dumb-ass grandfather took the money and gave my dad the crumbs of the actual money. My dad is now pissed, of course, and asks him, "Where the hell is my money?" Entitled grandfather replied, "Oh, it's just so you can pay me back. Over the years I helped you in your life." Again, they didn't do shit to help my dad. This was only the start of the shitstorm that was going to come. Eventually, my spoiled entitled uncle finally got an okay job. The problem was the distance. He asked entitled grandma where he can stay. Entitled grandma suggests that he can live at the flat that my dad owns rent-free. So entitled uncle starts living at the house, and eventually my dad realizes the money he usually got from entitled grandpa was gone. My dad calls out entitled grandpa, no response. Then he calls out his mother, entitled grandma. She picks up. Here is the conversation that goes. Dad: "Hey mom, why isn't the money from dad come in?" EGM: "Well, your brother is living in it." Dad: "Oh, then so is he going to wire me the payment?" EGM: "No." Dad: "Why not?" EGM: "Well, he is your brother after all. So he doesn't have to pay." Dad: "I know he has a decent job and he hasn't done me favors in the past when I asked him." EGM: "He is only starting out. I thought he need it." They start arguing and it went bloody. Entitled grandma used the family card and my dad just brought up how they were picking favorites. This led to my dad kicking out his brother. Not long after that, entitled grandparents stole the keys of the flat, block communication with dad, and let their brat move in once more. My dad left the keys at my mom's parents' place for safekeeping. He found out by my mom's sister, my aunt, everything. This is what made my father open his eyes to see the truth and how bad his family was. Also how bad he was towards my mom. I like to call this his redemption arc as a husband and a father. He was tired of the bullshit, took the next flight to India and prepared. My dad brought he and my brother at the time since my grandparents on my mom's side wanted to see me again. They worked with my mom's family to hide the fact he was in India and going to get back his flat. He left me and my brother at my grandparent place and went to get the keys back. The gate officer that was guarding the flat recognized that my father was the owner. He got extra keys from the officer since he manages the flats in that area. He marches into his flat and opens the door. Entitled uncle was sitting on his butt watching some cricket. He was surprised, but my dad said these words in a cold tone: "Get out." Entitled uncle soon left. My dad sent entitled uncle stuff to my great uncle since they were close and told them it was for entitled uncle. My great uncle knew how spoiled entitled uncle was, so he gladly took it. Of course, the entitled parents start blasting my dad, saying he buried the family and how selfish are you, we stayed in India for another week and left. My dad cut those shits out of his life. And recently entitled uncle got married and didn't even try to invite his brother. But now the entitled grandparents are doing the same bullshit that they did to my mom, and my entitled uncle threatened to divorce him and leave with the baby. The entitled grandparents claim that my mom did something to make her act this way, but she didn't even say a word. So yeah, that's the story. Sorry for any grammar mistakes. TLDR, M takes son's house and gave it to her brat, and son fly to India to get it back. Make sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't done yet. Thanks for watching.